Hello folks, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to look at animating a piece of text using a motion or mask path. I'm going to start by just clicking on T, typing in a simple piece of text like so, and then going back on my selection tool. I'm just going to put the text down here for the time being, and I'm just going to get rid of that window and that window just to give us a little bit more space. Right. Now, as you know, if you open the text transform properties here, you can move the text around and set keyframes for position and so on and so forth. But that's a little rudimentary. We want to do something a little bit more fancy and a little bit more imaginative. And this is where mask paths can be very useful. Select your text and click on your pen tool. Now, just to let you know, there are two types of mask. You can do an open mask, which is clicking like so, and then if I go back on my selection tool, that is a mask path and it's an open one. The path isn't closed. You've also got closed mask paths. So you can click on here and draw that. That's a mask, or effectively because it's on text it's a mask path, but it's closed. The square closes the mask together, so it's a closed path. We're going to stick for the time being, I'm just going to delete that, with an open mask path. So I'm going to go on the pen tool. Please make sure you've got your text selected. I'm just going to click here, here, and then maybe do a little click and drag to just sort of bend it round and have a little curve at the end. When you've drawn your mask path, click back on your selection tool. Now we've got the mask here in the timeline, but we don't need to look at the options particularly. What we are going to do though is open the text options here, open path options, and where it says path, click here and select the mask. Your text now aligns itself to the mask path. A couple of things you might want to do before you sort of go much further is maybe just go to Window, open Paragraph, and you might just want to select maybe a different alignment for the piece of text, so you can center it, you can align it to the right, or you can align it to the left. They're not essential things to do, but it may make a difference on where you want your text to begin and start. I'm going to leave mine aligned to the left and then just close that window down. Now, once you've attached, I'm just going to show you one more time. If I go on path options here and put it back on path none, it's not attached to the mask path. If I click here, put it back on mask 1, a series of options pop up. Probably the first thing I'm going to do though is just show you how to do a quick animation along the path. I'm going to leave my time marker on 0, click on first margin, and I'm going to take my time marker to 2 seconds. Now you can animate the text along the path in two ways. You can click and drag numerically here, let's put that back to 0, or if you prefer, and I think this is probably the nicer way of doing it, there's a little widget, and it's just, if I rest my mouse on it, you should see it pop up. A little widget comes up like that, so there's a sort of arrowhead. You can click on that widget and actually move the path manually, which is a lot easier. I'm going to move it right off the screen, like so. And now, if we scrub through the timeline, we've got a nice piece of text animating along that path and off the screen. There's a couple of things you might want to adjust as well. You've got some options here. You can click on reverse path, like so, puts it upside down. Probably not of great use, to be honest. You can put it perpendicular to the path. Now this is quite a nice effect. If you look at what it does, the text always remains facing sort of northwards or pointing upwards as it makes its move around. So that's quite a nice little adaptation you might want to make. Or you can go to force alignment. Now the force alignment one's interesting. What it actually does is, I'm going to take the animation back to the beginning, the force alignment one actually puts the text first letter, which is M, at the beginning of the path, and the last letter, which is H, it puts it at the end of the path. But I'm going to switch that off for the time being. And I'm going to put it back to perpendicular to path off, and it will just animate along, like so. There are other options under more options, and to be honest, my advice as ever with After Effects is to go into some of those options, play with them and see really what they can do. But probably our most important option is the animation keyframes, which are here or you can use the last margin to animate it as well. But if you do use the last margin one, I'd recommend you go back to your paragraph panel here and set your alignment to the right. If you set it to the right, the last margin keyframes will have a greater effect. The first margin ones are better if your text is aligned to the left. So let's do a quick recap. I'm just going to delete those keyframes. The main thing you want to sort of focus upon, I'm just going to take the mask off or detach it from the text. The main thing to do is have a mask drawn here like so. Open your text. Open the text options. Go to Path. Click on the mask and it attaches it to it. Put your time marker on 0. Click on first margin. Take your time marker to 2. And then, if you can, grab hold of that little widget. It's just at the front. And you can animate your text along the path. And there you've got a nice piece of text animating along the line, motion path or mask path that you've drawn. Okay folks, we'll look at some other animation text techniques in the next tutorial. See you then.